Kurt Russell, a man once known as a symbol of strength, an actor with undeniable on-screen charisma, an invincible hero in the eyes of millions of fans, shook the entire film world and his admirers when he publicly revealed a truth he had silently hidden his entire life. In a live television interview, with a trembling voice and eyes glowing with liberation, Kurt Russell announced that he is gay. And like a second earthquake, just a day later, he officially introduced his same-sex partner, a man he called the only light that led me out of the darkness. That evening, millions of viewers were glued to their screens, no one anticipating what was about to happen. Kurt Russell stepped onto the stage of a nationally televised program, dressed in an elegant charcoal-colored suit. But what captured everyone's attention wasn't his familiar dashing appearance. It was the tense expression on his face, a mix of anxiety and determination. "I have lived a life that wasn't honest with myself," he began, pausing for a brief moment as if to catch his breath. "I am gay." The sentence struck like a bolt of lightning from a clear sky. The studio fell into complete silence. No applause, no whispers, just utter stillness, as if the whole world had collectively stopped breathing. "I've lived in fear of losing my career, losing the people I love, fear of hurting my wife, my family. But in the end, I realized the worst thing isn't the truth. It's living a lie." The following morning, the entire entertainment world seemed to come to a halt as Kurt Russell appeared hand in hand with the man who had given him the strength to speak his truth. It was at a charity gala held in Beverly Hills, where the flashbulbs from photographers never stopped blinking. That man was a renowned fashion designer, known for collaborations with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Not only was he handsome and sophisticated, but he also had a gentle aura that brought a sense of peace to those around him. When they stood side by side, their warm smiles said it all, that they had overcome the barriers of prejudice and fear, and were now living as their authentic selves. Kurt gently embraced his partner and whispered something in his ear that made him laugh. Then, he placed a soft kiss on his cheek, a small but powerful gesture, full of courage and symbolism. That photo instantly became the centerpiece of every newspaper, social media feed, and public discussion forum. But while the media buzzed and fans found themselves divided in their emotions, a more painful, tragic side of the story unfolded quietly. Kurt Russell's wife, who had stood by him for over 30 years, once his co-star, soulmate, and the mother of his child, was rushed to the hospital in a state of emotional collapse. According to close sources, she cried for hours in near hysteria. The truth about her husband was already too much to bear, but what hurt the most was his decision to publicly reveal his lover just one day later. In her eyes, it was a public betrayal, a cold, sharp dagger driven into a heart that had waited, sacrificed, and trusted out of love. She had once been Kurt's anchor when critics turned their backs on him, the one who cared for him after surgeries from action film injuries, the one who silently swallowed tears seeing him throw himself into work as if to escape something unnamed. And now, everything she once believed in seemed to vanish like soap bubbles. The public and online communities were deeply divided. Many stood by Kurt, calling him a true hero for daring to live honestly and confront the greatest fear of his life. They said he had inspired millions living in the shadows, and that, though late, he still deserved love and happiness. However, the wave of criticism was equally strong. Some argued he had been too selfish, too cruel to the woman who had spent nearly a lifetime by his side. They said if he truly loved his wife, he could have chosen a gentler, more private way to come out, instead of turning it into a global shockwave. Social psychologists weighed in, saying this was the result of a society that had long forced people like Kurt to play the role of the ideal man drawn by cultural expectations. "No one deserves to live in fear for more than half their life," one expert commented. "But no one deserves to be hurt by the one they trusted most either." Leaving behind the criticism and regret, Kurt Russell chose a new path, a path of truth. In a later interview, he said, "I know I've hurt the people I love, and I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life. But I can't keep lying to myself. I want to hold the hand of the person I love in broad daylight, without looking down, without fear." He and his partner moved into a house by the sea in Santa Barbara, where they raised a yellow Labrador and often took evening walks together. His life now is simpler, with fewer spotlights, but filled with a peace he had never known. Though the controversy may not have faded and the emotional wounds of the past may still linger, Kurt Russell has stepped out of his own shadow to begin a new chapter. A chapter of courage, of freedom, and of love without hiding. In the storm of truth, amidst both praise and ridicule, Kurt Russell stood firm, not as the muscular hero on screen, but as a man true to himself. His choice to live authentically was not only a cultural shock, but also a bold declaration for all who have lived in the darkness of denial. His new life is no paradise. He faced the loss of old relationships, was cut off from parts of his family, and even received threats from those who refused to accept his truth. But amid the gloom, he found light, the light of love, of forgiveness, and of freedom. His current partner is more than a lover. They are a spiritual companion. They cook together, walk together in the early mornings before the city wakes, and quietly read books in the living room as dusk settles. These simple things, to Kurt Russell, are more precious than any multimillion-dollar role from his past. "I don't need to be a symbol anymore," he once said. "I just need to be myself, and be loved as I am." Though his coming out shattered a decades-long marriage, a tearful parting full of unanswerable questions, Kurt has never denied what he and his ex-wife once had. In a film magazine essay, he once quietly offered her an apology. "I'm sorry for hurting you, but I know that if I hadn't stepped out, I would have died slowly inside the shell of myself." It's hard for audiences who were once attached to the image of Kurt Russell as the cool, commanding presence in Escape from New York or the resolute man in The Hateful Eight, to accept a new Kurt, more sensitive, more vulnerable, and more real. But time seems to be healing all wounds. Film critics have begun to see him through a more complex lens. His post-revelation roles, though no longer action-packed, are rich in emotional depth and life experience. He is no longer a superhero, he is a human being. Kurt Russell's story now transcends that of an actor. It has become a symbol of the decades-long inner struggle faced by those who live behind masks, for fear of losing fame, hurting loved ones, or being rejected by the world. But at the same time, it is proof of a simple yet powerful truth. No one deserves to live a lie, not for love, nor for reputation. Kurt Russell chose the harder path. He chose honesty, and in doing so, he became a hero once again, not on screen but in real life. At over 70, when many choose retirement and a quiet sunset, he keeps learning, loving, and forgiving. He learns how to face his mistakes, how to apologize, how to mend what can still be mended. Once he shared, "I don't expect people to forgive me. I just hope they understand that for so many years, I was also a victim of my own fear." Today, if you happen to see Kurt Russell strolling down the street with silver hair and gentle eyes, you may no longer see a star. But you will see a man with scars, both physical and emotional, living each moment of the last chapter of his life to the fullest. And perhaps that is the most beautiful ending for a cinematic life. Not the spotlight, but the truth. When the stage lights dim and the applause fades, people often believe the story has ended. But for Kurt Russell, that was only the beginning. After everything that has been revealed and lost, there remains a fragile veil of things never said. That man, once a symbol of strength, now a symbol of inner courage, still carries many untold stories. There are questions no one dares to ask. Did he ever truly love his wife with all his heart? Or was it just another role he was forced to play for 30 years? Was his same-sex partner truly his first love, or merely the first one he had the courage to embrace publicly? And most of all, is there something even deeper, even more painful, that he is still hiding from the world? There are Or's he kept a diary throughout the years of inner turmoil, a journal no one has read, untouched by any publisher. Those close to him say it contains the most honest portrait of Kurt Russell. Not the star, not the husband, not the lover, but a lost boy from long ago, who has only just begun to recognize himself in the mirror. A leaked source revealed that the journal is locked away in a personal safe, entrusted to his private lawyer, with one condition: it may only be published after his death. So the question remains, Do we truly know Kurt Russell? Or is everything we've seen on stage, on screen, in his bravest confession still just a small part of a far greater story?